Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm going for a quick video here talking about four stocks: Palantir, Coinbase, Nvidia, and Tesla here. First of all, this is Palantir monthly chart shown here. You can see that the Bollinger Band is being shown, and because of the big parabolic move on the way up, this is on log scale by the way, because of this big parabolic up that's been going on for about the last 12 months or so, you have the Bollinger Band completely expanded, both on the upper Bollinger Band as well as the lower Bollinger Band. The lower Bollinger Band gets continued to expand to the downside, which is absolutely incredible. This is a bull trend that keeps on giving. This is a bull trend that keeps on going up. And currently, there's not really any sign in particular to tell me that this is going to stop right here, which is why I'm really kind of puzzled in terms of a lot of people are trying to make arguments based on valuation, based on double top, based on head and shoulder pattern, based on all these other things that they're looking at. I just don't really see the top for Palantir quite just yet. I'm going to tell you a little bit as to in terms of what I think in terms of when I would start taking profit, but it's not now. That's not going to be happening right now based on how impulsive the bull trend is going right now, right? Generally, the bull market doesn't stop with the Bollinger Band continue to expand. I'm going to show you a couple of examples here as to what I mean by that. There are two parabolic bull trends here for Tesla, right? One in 2013, the other one around 2019, 2020. Both of these are followed by a big, giant Bollinger Band expansion to the upside and to the downside. And you can see that the Bollinger Band expansion, whenever it stops expanding here, back in October 2013, that is when the stock made a pretty significant high here and it dipped down, right? But that was not the top. The top was about 8 months later. Same thing over here. Whenever you have the Bollinger Band, when it stops to expand all the way down here on January 2021, that was not the top for Tesla. The top of Tesla happened about 8 or 9 months later. It made another high. It made another roughly around like another 60-70% up, from there, right? So currently, we don't even really have the Bollinger Band contraction yet. We're still expanding to the downside. The bull trend is still ongoing, so there's not really any particular reasons to thinking that the Palantir is going to just stop from here. The other way to look at it is look at the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly here. It's forming an immature Ichimoku cloud over here. Is going to be in shape probably around somewhere in 2027. But the important thing is not to look at the cloud. The important thing is to look at the blue line and the red line here. The blue line here is called Tenkan, or conversion line. The red line here is called Kijun, or the baseline. Generally, in a bull market, it rides up the blue line on the way up. It looks like it's just taking a staircase on the way up, which is why whenever I see the back test of the Tenkan Kijun they're holding perfectly, I thought that this is not the end of the bull market. I thought that was going to have some further bullish continuation. And the reaction off of the Tenkan Kijun over here from the bounce was extremely beautiful, right? I'm going to show you some other examples. Look at Nvidia, bull market riding a Tenkan up, right? Bull market riding a Tenkan up, right? Blue bull market riding the blue line, Tenkan all the way up, right? Until you lose it, that's when you really lose the bull market, right? Here, Nvidia got a little bit iffy. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. Tesla on the way up, riding blue line all the way up, right? Riding blue line all the way up. You just don't really have a bull market that ends with back testing the Tenkan Kijun and holding. That's not generally how a bull market ends. So that's another thing. The third thing too is a lot of people think that RSI is way overheated. Sure it is. It's in the 90s. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like way overbought, right? Well, Nvidia stays up in the 80s and 90s for like a year and a half, 2 years. It's no big deal. These things happen. It doesn't care. It hits like 95 or something like that in January 2017, and it kept on making another 200x, 300x. Not 300, 200%, 300% on the way up, after that. When you have a bearish divergence with RSI cooling off, price just kept going up because of how heated the RSI is, right? Palantir is currently experiencing the same thing. I think we might actually end up towards the end of the bull cycle, which I don't think we're there yet, but towards the end of the bull cycle, you might actually end up having price going up here and on RSI cooling down with a bearish divergence before the real collapse happens. I don't think we're anywhere near that based on what I'm looking at, right? A couple of other things too. I think that if you take away all these other indicators, you just simply look at Palantir in comparison to the QQQ, right? If you look at Palantir side by side here with the QQQ here on the monthly, you can see that Palantir had already actually front-ran the QQQ in terms of the correction, right? Correction for Palantir really started happening in February of 2025, right? Went all the way down, basically price dropped about 50%, right? The QQQ, actually, it did drop at the same time from February all the way down here to April, right? Very similar move. The only difference between QQQ and the Palantir, and why I say that Palantir is front running the QQQ right now, is because Palantir has already formed an all-time high. QQQ hasn't yet, right? QQQ has significant, QQQ is NASDAQ, by the way, has significant demand right there with this big, giant, beautiful candle, very much equivalent to this big, giant candle over here. QQQ had a reaction here in May. Palantir already had a reaction in April. People wanted Palantir. The earnings, all that volatility, brought price all the way back down to what, like the mid hundreds. Didn't matter. Trend is so strong, and I'm getting bought up anyway. It is front running the QQQ, and most likely it will continue to front run the QQQ. The couple other things I want to look at too with Palantir, which is very important. Look at the fib levels, right? One is from the previous cycle high here to the cycle low. You can see I look at both log scale, log fib, as well as linear fibs, right? Log fib, what does it happen? Well, it got rejected here at 1.414, and it basically pushed through, and right now essentially did close to a back test after 1.414, right? If you're saying, okay, the back test is not that beautiful, it didn't even touch the 1.44. Okay, we're looking at another. Look at linear fibs, right? Look at linear fibs here. We got rejected at a 2.618, and in April we pushed through the 2.618, and in May we basically just back tested it. All of these are basically saying that, you know, converting resistance from previous resistance to now testing as support. All of these things are very, very bullish thing to look at. I am not that bearish here with Palantir. I think Palantir has a good chance to get to 1.618, maybe even go to 2, maybe even go to 2.272, right? I'll tell you when I take profits. Very simple, very, very simple. I will take profits. I would see warning signs. One warning sign is I would take profits whenever the Bollinger Band stops expanding. I would take profits whenever the Monday Bollinger Band stops expanding, right? That's thing number one. Because if you look at Tesla, the Bollinger Band stops expanding, that you can still have another few months on the way up, but that's really the time to start getting a little bit more cautious here, right? Second, I would start taking profits if we are no longer above the Tenkan Kijun. If we lose momentum, for example, MSTR, right? If we ever end up being in a spot where we end up breaking down underneath the Tenkan Kijun, that's time to take profit. Even MSTR is not doing that right now, right? So why would I do that for Palantir? There's not really any particular reason for me to want to take profits right now, unless if I want to trade. Whenever things get a little bit too far away from the blue line here in Tenkan, it does get a little bit worrisome. I do think that there is a chance for it to go sideways here a little bit, wait for the blue line to catch up, or go down a little bit further to meet the blue line before further bullish continuation. There's always a possibility, right? Because we are overextended here, looking at Ichimoku. But if you look at the Bollinger Band, it's just riding up the Bollinger Band all the way up. It's touching on the way up. It's not too overextended here on the monthly. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't really see any particular reason to take profits right now. But if the Bollinger Band stops expanding, if we lose the Tenkan Kijun, the blue line, red line, and on top of that, if we ever hit the 2.272, I'm gonna leave this stock. I'm gonna sell the majority of my stock here if we ever hit the 2.272, because it's a very, very important fit level for parabolic bull trend. Just look at Nvidia. If I just do Nvidia from the cycle top to the cycle bottom, you can see that it got rejected here at 2.272, right? That was a good clue for it to kind of start taking profits from, right? What other stock or crypto can I use the 2.272 here as an example? Look at Bitcoin from this particular cycle top over here, 2013, to the cycle bottom here in 2014. You can see that where did, let me get rid of the can over here. Where did Bitcoin cycle end? With this big giant parabolic move up, right? With a blow off top, where did it end? 2.272. So if Palantir ever hits 2.272, I think I'm going to sell up pretty much the majority of my holdings, and it can keep on blasting up, and I don't care, you know, because I already made significant profits. If it ever gets there, that's like 100x from where it was down here below, right? Imagine that. The bottom is 5.92. If you ever get to 593.88, like sell, run, right? Does it get there? I don't know. It could get rejected hard at 1.618. A lot of people are looking at this. So I don't really know the answer to that. All I know is that if it ever gets up there, sell. I don't really expect it to get to like 2.618 or anything like that. It might get there years and years or even over a decade later. I don't know, but that's kind of the levels I'm looking at. I'm even tempted to take profits at 1.618, but I have to see how the Bollinger Band, how the Ichimoku Cloud, how everything else responds first, right? I don't want to just take profits because it meets a certain target. That's generally not the way to kind of approach this. And I'm gonna just kind of take my time and see what happens when it gets to some of these levels, and we'll kind of take it from there, right? Anyway, let me go ahead and take a pause here. I was gonna talk about 3 other stocks, but this video is already getting beyond 10 minutes. I'm gonna leave you with this. I do analysis on these major stocks: Palantir, Nvidia, and Tesla, and even Coinbase and many other stocks. All these hot stocks, I do at least a weekly analysis on video on Danny's Patreon. I'm going to leave the link with Danny's Patreon here. I collaborate with the guy usually on a weekend. I look at charts together with him, and based on what he sees on his chart, based on what I see on my chart, I come up with a video for his members. As a collaboration with my friend. I will continue to pump all these videos, all these thoughts here for free. But if you want to really kind of know how the collaboration goes and what I'm seeing, both my charts and his charts, and kind of anticipate in terms of what's going to happen, feel free to join it. You don't have to. He's my friend. We work together. I just want to bring that out. If you're interested, do it. If not, that's fine too. I'm going to keep pumping up these videos here on YouTube and on X for free. Take care, guys. Bye.